The United States has told its citizens to leave Russia immediately, citing the ongoing war in Ukraine and a risk of arbitrary arrest or harassment by Russian law enforcement agencies. The Kremlin said it was not the first time US citizens had been asked to leave Russia. The last such public warning was in September after President Vladimir Putin ordered a partial mobilization. The US Embassy in Moscow said in a statement, quote, "Russian security services have arrested US citizens on spurious charges, singled out US citizens in Russia for detention and harassment, denied them fair and transparent treatment, and convicted them in secret trials or without presenting credible evidence." The Federal Security Service said in January that prosecutors had opened a criminal case against a United States citizen on suspicion of espionage. Last December, US basketball star Brittany Griner was released in a prisoner swap. She had been sentenced to 9 years in a penal colony for possessing vape cartridges containing cannabis oil after a judicial process labelled a sham by Washington. Meanwhile, former US Marine Paul Whelan is serving a 16-year sentence in a Russian penal colony after being convicted of what Washington says are fictitious espionage charges.
The public should be able to see parts of a special grand jury report on Donald Trump's efforts to overturn Georgia's 2020 presidential election, a state judge ruled on Monday, but not all of it. Recommendations on whether there should be criminal charges will stay secret, according to Fulton County Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney. The county's district attorney, Fonnie Willis, formed the special grand jury shortly after a January 2021 phone call in the waning days of Trump's term.
The Trump investigation is underway.
Trump urged Georgia's top election official to find enough votes to give him the critical swing state. The special grand jury's report could potentially serve as the basis for prosecution of Trump, which would make him the first former president in U.S. history to face criminal prosecution. McBurney said the report's introduction, conclusion, and a part where the jury discusses concern about witnesses possibly lying under oath should all be made public.
Did you lie to them?
Senior Trump advisors such as attorney Rudy Giuliani and U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham were among the 75 witnesses jurors heard testimony from over about 7 months. Trump was not subpoenaed and did not testify. He has denied wrongdoing and accused Willis, an elected Democrat, of targeting him for political gain. The Georgia probe is just one of a number of civil and criminal investigations threatening him, his family, and his associates.
America's comeback starts right now.
Meanwhile, Trump's bid for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination is already underway.
Decisions are imminent.
It's up to Willis to decide whether to file criminal charges. Last month, she said decisions were imminent. At that time, she said she didn't want the report to come out, adding that future defendants could argue unsealing it would hurt their right to a fair trial. The county judge says there will be a few days for prosecutors to discuss with him if more redactions are needed, with the selected parts set to come out on Thursday.
Surveillance video captured the moment a U-Haul truck drove onto a Brooklyn sidewalk Monday morning, with a pedestrian barely jumping out of the way in time, and a police car in hot pursuit. The driver, eventually caught and arrested after injuring at least 8, was accused of deliberately plowing into pedestrians in what New York City Police Commissioner Keechant Sewell described as a violent rampage.
At approximately 10:50 this morning, officers responded to a single male driving a U-Haul truck in the Bay Ridge area of Brooklyn. At this time, we have no indication that there is any terrorism involvement in this incident.
The incident left 2 victims hospitalized in critical condition and 2 in serious condition, while 4 others sustained minor injuries, with a police officer among those who were hurt. As of late Monday afternoon, police had not publicly identified the suspect, but the New York Times, citing 2 senior law enforcement officials speaking on condition of anonymity, gave the driver's name as Wong Soar. Residents in the area were shocked and scared following the event.
I'm 86, right? I just don't. That's why I'm worried. I mean, I crawl. I can't even get out of the way if somebody was after me. You know, it's terrible.
This is ludicrous. This is not right, and they should be doing something about this in Bay Ridge. There are too many accidents that have been happening.
The incident occurred on the same day that a federal jury began weighing whether to impose the death penalty in the trial of Sayfullo Saipov, the extremist convicted of intentionally driving a truck down a New York City bike path in 2017, killing 8 people. Police did not suggest any connection between the two incidents.
The mystery of 4 unidentified flying objects in North American airspace is straining already frosty relations between Washington and Beijing. The US claimed the first UFO was a Chinese spy balloon, part of a larger high-altitude intelligence-gathering program. The other 3 are so far unexplained, but the White House has been clear what they are not.
I know there have been questions and concerns about this, but there is no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial activity.
Even so, the White House defended the decision to shoot down the objects. First, it was because they are a danger to commercial air traffic. Now the US says China has a balloon program connected to its army.
Even though we had no indications that any of these 3 objects were surveilling, we couldn't rule that out. And so you want to err on the side of safety here in terms of protecting our national security.
Beijing initially dismissed the US as overreacting, but has now claimed that Washington has previously sent balloons into Chinese airspace.
美方气球非法进入别国领空，也司空见惯。仅去年以来，美方高空气球未经中国相关部门批准，10余次非法飞越中国领空。美方首先要做的，应当是反躬自省，改弦更张，而不是污蔑抹黑、煽动对抗。
Claims and counterclaims of espionage between the 2 superpowers is just the latest diplomatic row in an already tense relationship.
A sleepless night in Michigan, as another shooting rocks another US city. At least 3 people have been killed after a gunman opened fire at Michigan State University. Students and local residents at East Lansing were told to shelter during a manhunt for the attacker. 5 people were injured.
I can confirm that there were at least 5 victims. All 5 victims were transported to the hospital. Some of those victims do have life-threatening injuries.
Police say the suspect's body was later found. He had died by a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was 43 years old with no known affiliation to the university.